You just heard the first affirmative speaker, and her basic claims were that embryonic stem cells are human beings, that the use of embryonic stem cells are scientifically proven flawed, that embryonic stem cells should be abandoned in favor of alternatives such as those involving other stem cells. Now, our counter to that is that one, embryonic stem cells are not human beings, and two, embryonic stem cells have multiple benefits, and for their patients and treatments for their potential problems, as the affirmative stated. Our third claim would be that embryonic stem cells are the best choices when it comes to treatment and research because of their alternatives faults. Embryonic stem cells are not human beings, and the affirmative mentioned that embryonic stem cells, of course, are. But according to the PBS medical webpage, embryonic stem cells are primitive and undifferentiated cells from the embryo that have the potential to become a wide variety of specialized cell types. This basically means that these cells can transform to other cells that they need to be. Now, there's no mention of the word human being in this definition. In addition, the affirmative does not mention and does not even generalize what a human being is. And according to Word.net, a human being is defined as any living or extinct member of the hominid family characterized by superior intelligence, articulate speech, and erect carriage. Now, an embryo does not have any of those three aspects. And there again, there's no mention of embryonic stem cells in this definition. Now, embryos are not human beings according to your genes, your choice. They're an animal in the early stages of development before birth. In humans, an embryo is in this stage is the first 3 months following conception. Now, one of the big questions was, can an embryo live outside and survive? And according to Answers.com, no, it can't, because it's still reliant on the mother for safety as well as nutrition, and therefore cannot be considered. The affirmative mentioned that there should be no boundary between, that there should be a boundary between biomedical research and human quality, but biomedical research and human quality seem to go hand in hand since one seeks to enhance the other. Now, according to the Cell Center, there have been multiple treatments from stem cells, a form of biomedical research, such as Alzheimer's, and the way they basically treat Alzheimer's is that they take cells from the iliac crest, which is the hip, and stem cells, and they place it in the back. And with Alzheimer's, since you lose lost nerve endings, the stem cells actually replace them over months and months. Another form, which is trying to be cured, is multiple sclerosis, and it's basically the same process, except the stem cells seek to renew the damaged tissue that is caused by multiple sclerosis. Now, our second claim was that embryonic stem cells have multiple benefits to patients and treatments for the potential problems. Now, human embryonic stem cells may have certain mutations, but does not make them dangerous to implant. One mutation, the famous one, is red hair, but that's not dangerous. Now, according to the Washington Post, gene chips that identify subtle molecular changes in thousands of genes simultaneously continue on several colonies harbored increasing numbers of mutant cells over time. Again, there's no evidence to suggest that they're dangerous. And according to the future of things, they have a tendency, not a certainty, like the affirmative has claimed, to form tumors. And again, according to the future of things, the chemical that starts to produce tumors, if there are any, is called cerebin. But what the affirmative did not mention is that the chemical cerebin can also be suppressed, which is what a study by the University of Jerusalem found that researchers could suppress the cerebin embryonic stem cells inhibiting tumors. Now, there's another aspect to stem cells which is really important, because according to Science Daily, a certain protein called Lefty, which is what it's actually called, found that researchers could inhibit the growth of metastatic melanoma, which is an aggressive skin cancer, and inhibit the growth of breast cancer. Now, Lefty is very important because it only comes from embryonic stem cells, and it basically kills off the cancer cells by forcing them to commit apoptosis or cell suicide, or converting them back to normal cells, thus removing the cancer. And another important that the affirmative mentioned was that embryonic stem cells may cause rejection, but according to Science Daily, anti-rejection medication can counter this, and anti-rejection medication is often used in transplants and whatnot. Now, our third claim is that embryonic stem cells are the best possible choices when it comes to treatment because of their alternative problems. And a study conducted by several institutions, such as Stanford University, the Howard Hughes Institute of Medicine, and UC San Francisco, showed that when mice had their bone marrow stem cells modified to glow in the dark, Later, the cells were injected into other mice, and then months later, when those mice were examined, they found that the adult bone marrow that had modified to glow green, did not fuse or make any other sort of tissue, such as organs or livers, which is what they were originally supposed to do. Now, this shows that adult stem cells may not form other cells as they are supposed to. Now, according to Kelly Howell, who is a medical doctor, in all fairness, adult stem cells have restricted differentiation potential and do not proliferate, as well as embryonic stem cells. Now, this simply means that adult stem cells do not form other cells as they are supposed to, and they also do not multiply as well as embryonic stem cells. According to MSNBC, the problem with amniotic fluid states that they have only recently been discovered, but however they are off to a promising start. But the preliminary tests are still years away, and because they do not know how many types of cells, how many types of stem cells are in the amniotic fluid. Some could be more dangerous than others, some could be more work well than others. Now, the first problem is that they can only be isolated from embryonic or fetal tissue. That basically means that there's a limited number of places that can be harvested. And the second is that they can be grown in a culture, but only with specialized methods to prevent them from differentiating. Now, but this basically means that scientists have a hard time controlling how these cells differentiate. And once a stem cell does differentiate, as you go to a brain cell, for example, it cannot go back. So in conclusion, the affirmative mentions that embryonic stem cells are human beings, that they're scientifically proven flawed, and that they are the worst alternative. But embryonic stem cells aren't human beings. They have multiple benefits, and they are the best alternatives because of what we have just shown. And that's what my partner and I will show.